Let's now talk about multimodality and newspaper genre. Multimodality is also very important in the making of a newspaper, and we can see that various newspaper uses various images and to help or highlight their stories they want to present in more prominence to their public. According to Capel, some newspapers do not contain full stories, rather they just show an image and a bright caption. And in news bites, which are online newspapers, captions, they show a picture accompanied with a short text and a link for the complete story. So these have their own meaning when we want to draw our attention towards them. So in order to understand that which newspaper consider which news more important, you can see the face or the main page of these newspapers, online newspapers, and you will see that which news item has been placed where and in what kind of prominence. The functions of these news bites is to highlight the most important story of the day and indicate the level of importance depending on the kind of caption which has been added, or the place or the positioning it has been granted on the website of the newspaper. Knox see that online newspapers are more fluid and dynamic, and they may show or they may have the potential of showing the editor's policy more clearly as compared to written newspaper or traditional newspapers. Uh, he identifies three key elements to the genre of news bites, and these three elements includes headlines, the lead, which is usually typically the first sentence of the fuller text, which is hidden behind the link, and the link. So we can see that what headline is, what lead is, and what the image is there. So image carries an important place in conveying the meaning in such situations, and some people can, rather many regular watchers of the and readers of these newspaper can imagine by looking at the image that what kind of news story they are going to read. The stance of the newspaper and its relationship with its audience, its readers, is also reflected through these pages and how these pages have been framed. Then these pages also have a strong interpersonal value with their audience, and they somehow in many ways frame their minds and expectations. People also found most of the headings that accompanied the images are usually idiomatic expressions, and these idiomatic expressions may be on the line of some popular idioms, verbs, or some popular movie names, uh, TV series names, could be anything, but something which builds a connection with the audience clearly and strongly and draws their attention towards that particular news item. For example, a news item about a drought in China had certain prominence because it carried an image of a dry, cracking land and at the background there were certain people who were having tools in their hands. And what newspapers said, "Try hard with a vengeance." And this was designed on the pattern of a famous American movie in the mid 90s, which says, whose title was Die Hard with a Vengeance. And this was probably the third movie in the series of Die Hard. And by reading this kind of caption, you can anticipate that people would be more enthusiastic to read about the details of the story. And this has become a very popular trend in online newspapers, that they use such catchy expressions to attract their audience. And this also may be used to conduct a socio-cultural solidarity with the audience. Three components, for example, heading, image, and caption, and they are put together to generate very important meanings, and they also reflect uh, a newspaper's overall editorial policy also. According to Capel, this kind of trends are not found in newspapers only. Rather, they are also found in TV, serials, songs, literary works, and sporting events. Home pages of newspapers are considered very important, as I said earlier. Their making, their framing, and their linking with other things also shows the editorial policies of the newspapers. With rest of the pages also very important, and they are about some important topics like city news, sports news, showbiz news, and other things. But the first page is always very important, as it shows the main tenets of the editorial policy of a newspaper. Online newspaper also have such categories such like international pages, country pages, Asia news, entertainment, and there could be other, and they can be searched out by following various links on the websites of these newspapers. In nutshell, we can assume that newspapers have certain editorial policy of putting a certain news item in prominence by using certain multimodal sources. So multimodal sources, in other words, have become very important in the meaning making in relation to newspaper industry. Therefore, it's very important to have critical discourse analysis of such resources in the newspaper industry.